Are you from New York originally?
Yeah. I grew up about 15 miles north in the suburbs.
Nice. Westchester.
Yeah.
I went to a rehab with a lot of people from Westchester.
You did? Where?
I went to rehab in Connecticut. Yeah. Like
For what? For
being
alcohol?
a nut job.
No. For what?
Specifically like alcohol and like benzos. I like love me some Xanax.
When was that?
When I was 19, so that's like almost 3 years ago. My mom's super homeopathic because I always was like, Mom, like these fucking little sugar pills, you know, the ones that come in the little blue canister thing, or like these don't fucking work. Like, give me Advil. My mom never wanted to give me Advil. When drugs came around, especially pharmaceuticals, I was like, this is a very concrete answer. I was just like really depressed more than anything. I mean, anxiety, it's like very connected. It's like a cyclical thing. It's like, yeah, when you're like 11, you're told like, you know, like you have ADD, and then like that goes into like I'm a failure, therefore like depression is like hopelessness. I'm like one of 5. My older brother passed away when I was 10. I grew up in like a duplex with my grandma downstairs, laundry here, dishes there, like, and so it was really hard for me to like focus even in my own environment. I think that's like plagued me because it's like my anxiety, I have like big perfectionism issues. I would like do like 75% of the paper and like didn't think it was good and like wouldn't turn it in. Like I still deal with like my friends who like get good grades and they ask me to edit their papers and I'm like, yo, this is fucking terrible. They turn it in, they get a B. Like I don't know, like it's really hard for me to do that. I started like drinking and like smoked weed when I was like 12. So at that point in your life, you're just like a kid, you know? And so when you do that up until the age of 19, like you don't really know who you are, like separate of that. If I was not trying not to take Xanax, I was trying to take, you know, like opiates, like so I could remember things, like because I would lose things all the time because I would like black out. You know, and it just like wasn't working, like nothing was working because I was like still sad and I was still, you know, like never admitting that it was a problem. Like I would go to therapy, like never talk about like that. I think when my grandpa died in the summer, and like that summer I was like barely at my house because I was just like couldn't deal with it. I got my own apartment and it just got like dark quickly. I was in like a really bad relationship, and I guess like I didn't talk to my family, which is like weird. I talked to my mom like every day, and she was like, something is like up, and she like hit me up and was like, I'm gonna be in New York tomorrow at 11 a.m. And it was like, all right. And she like came and she like saw my disastrous apartment and she's like, what are we gonna do? You know, I was like, you know, super calm. She said that, I remember that. And I was just like, ugh. And like, this is like how insane and crazy I was. I like agreed. I was like, all right, I'll go detox, get a little like 2-week vacation. I think like school's fucking me up. My mom was like, oh, okay. So I go to the detox and they're like, you definitely need to stay. I was so not trying to be sober. Like throughout the whole 48 days, I was like, you know, I'm gonna smoke weed, it's natural, like that whole thing. I met a guy, but like not relationship wise, like as a friend. And he kind of like put me in perspective. He was like, yo, like stop fighting it. You're not happy. Like give yourself a shot to like be happy. I don't know, understanding like the difference of from being like shameful about it and like guilty about it. My mom would be like, why do you do this? When I was younger, I'd be like, I'm just a bad kid, Mom. I'm just a bad person. I'm shitty. I'm always gonna be shitty. Like, I should probably get over it. I'm gonna kill myself soon. Like being like just mean almost, but like I believed that. Once I like got sober, I gained a lot of perspective about it, and I was like, you know, like I've done bad things, but like I'm not a bad person. Sometimes I like, my mouth waters over like looking at a beer, and like I get, and that's like that alcoholic shit talking to me like, it's just a beer, like you could drink a beer, like doesn't that look good, like weird. So I literally feel like a psycho. It's kind of like when you have nothing to lose when you have the most to lose, you know? And I'm so hard on myself that I would just feel like that would really damage me for a minute, you know, letting go of something that like made me like proud of myself for the first time. I went to like really like affluent, predominantly white private schools, and I think that I felt pretty alienated being bigger, being mixed race, being of like lower socioeconomic standing. I looked like a woman at a very young age. Like I wasn't borrowing my friend's pants. My teacher was like, you need to wear a bra. Like, no one in my grade was wearing bras. When I was in the 4th grade, I was like, I'm gonna start throwing up. Like, that's what I'm gonna do. When you're young, you're not like, okay, like, I'm gonna eat kale tomorrow. So I started throwing up. I think, like, I was in, like, my elementary school, like, bathrooms that have, like, obviously are just stalls. So it's like somebody heard and, like, my teacher said something and it became, like, a thing. I had to talk to the principal and I was like, fuck you, like, my body situations, you know. It just never stuck. Like, I just, like, loved food more. I come from a very loving household, like a lot of love, a lot of support. But like I still went to school every day, and like I'm going home with my friends who are getting picked up by nannies right on the dot. But like when my mom picks me up, she's picking me up at the tail end of like aftercare because like she worked. I have friends who like their parents like paid for their apartment every year. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff that like, you know, they have the luxury of like, let me like intern and dabble. Like I don't have that. I don't go to school just to like learn. Like I go to school because like I get better insurance than like Medicaid than I would get with my mom. You know, I go to school because like I get like loans and like TAP grant, like these things that like I survive with. I get a lot of responses, like young girls like 16, 17. I'm bigger, but like I wore a crop top because like you rocked a crop top. And like that's sick to me. Because like I didn't really have that. I kind of had to like go off my own, and I learned to like value what it is to like be a woman, and like understanding that like a boy once can value waking up to like a stick or whatever, but like at the end of the day a man wants to wake up to next to a woman with a beautiful face with no makeup on. My physical insecurities don't bar me the same way as like my emotional ones. Like one's about like school stuff or like, you know, what am I gonna do for money? Like that stuff is way more paralyzing.
Have you experienced any presumptions about you based on your style?
That I don't like have intellect, or like that I'm just like some like dumb ratchet girl. Like I'm actually like way smarter than the girl who's like, and let me just like post like my Bukowski book on Instagram. Like I don't fucking need to do that, because I'll read that shit at home. The class I took last semester that was like culture and like, it was like a culture and ethnicity class, and just talking about like racial identity, white privilege, understanding like what it really is, and feeling like my sensitivities weren't just like a minority sensitivity. Like these are realities for people of color. That the fact that I'm in a class at 22 years old and there's people in there 21, 22, white students who are crying, you know, who go to a fucking liberal school, who didn't know that being by like, oh my God, you look black, like after you come back from a vacation is rude. You know, you can paint and fly your liberal equal flag, but like shit is not equal. And the only way that it can even get there is if we have a conversation about it not being equal. I don't see color. That's wrong. You should see color. It's important because that devalues, because I am of color. Don't, you know, like we are not the same. We have very different experiences. Having a voluptuous body, like I don't hate the fact that it has like sex appeal, you know, that it's sexual. It's like, but like, it's like that's, I think, still beautiful. But it's just like the attention that it gets.
When do you feel the most vulnerable?
I feel kind of vulnerable right now. There's so many girls in this world who have the same body as me, or if maybe like a little different, and that like it's important for me to be sitting here. Like I need to get over myself, that it's important for like somebody else to see that. The girls that like who are like my size, who would like never even think of doing it, you know,
Or hiding.
who are hiding.
So can you respond to the quote, "In your body is a good place to be"?
I firmly believe that people have the capacity to be in control of like the amount of suffering they have to endure. I mean, given there's like external shit that will happen, but like how you respond to that, you're in control of it.
Okay, that was amazing.
So awesome.
Thank you so much. Oh wait, stay there. I'm taking pictures of you, which I can't wait to do.
My butt is like sweaty.
I've been holding back.
beautiful, everything.